In the vast stretch of the galaxy, where stars burned bright and silent, the Unity Pact held sway. It was a council of alien species, tall, feathered beings with sharp beaks, shimmering creatures made of light, and hulking giants with rocky hides, all united to keep order among the countless worlds. For centuries, they'd ruled unchallenged, their ships gliding through space, their laws carved into the fabric of the cosmos. But on this day, something strange interrupted their calm. A signal, faint and crackly, echoed through their grand meeting hall on the planet Vora. It repeated one phrase over and over in a language they barely recognized: "Now you've woken all of us up." The leader of the pact, a wiry figure named Torva, stood at the center of the hall. His feathers ruffled as he listened, his 3 eyes narrowing. Around him, delegates chattered in a dozen tongues, their voices buzzing like a swarm of insects. Torva raised a clawed hand, silencing them. "What is this?" he asked, his voice sharp but steady. "Where does it come from?" A technician, a small glowing orb named Liar, floated forward. "It's from a dead zone, sir. Sector 17B. No one's been there in ages. Our records say it's empty, just dust and broken rocks." Torva tilted his head. "And this message? Who sent it?" Liar pulsed nervously. "Humans, sir. An old species. We thought they were gone. Extinct." The word humans sent a ripple through the hall. Some delegates laughed, a harsh, grating sound. Others shifted uneasily. Humans were a footnote in pact history, a race that had flickered out long ago, leaving behind scattered ruins and wild stories. Torva didn't laugh. He'd read the old reports. Humans were clever, stubborn, unpredictable. If this signal was real, it could mean trouble. "Send a scouting fleet," he ordered. "Find the source. If it's humans, we'll remind them who rules this galaxy." Far away, in that forgotten corner of Sector 17B, a small human outpost clung to life. Haven 3 was a dusty speck of a world, its surface cracked and red, its air thin but breathable. A few hundred people lived there, scraping by with patched-up machines and stubborn hope. Among them was Lila, a young engineer with dirt-streaked hands and a mind that never stopped spinning. She spent her days tinkering in a cluttered workshop, fixing generators and dreaming of something bigger. That morning, Lila was elbow-deep in a pile of scrap when she found it, a strange, boxy device half buried under rusted metal. It hummed faintly, its surface etched with faded symbols. She brushed off the dust and squinted at it. "What are you?" she muttered. The box flickered, and a voice crackled out, "Now you've woken all of us up." Lila jumped back, heart pounding. The voice kept repeating, steady and calm, like it had been waiting for her. She ran to find Milo, her best friend and the outpost's boldest pilot. He was lounging by his beat-up ship, a sleek little runner he called Stinger. His dark hair flopped over his eyes as he grinned at her. "What's got you so excited?" he asked. Lila held up the device. "This thing's talking. Listen." She pressed a button, and the message played again. Milo's grin faded. "That's creepy. Where'd you get it?" "Buried in the junk pile," she said. "I think it's old, really old. Maybe from Earth." Earth. The word hung between them. Haven 3's people told stories about Earth, the homeworld lost to time. Some said it was a paradise, others said it was a myth. Milo scratched his chin. "Let's turn it on properly. See what it does." Lila hesitated. "What if it's dangerous?" He smirked. "Then we'll handle it. Come on, you're the smart one. Figure it out." Back in her workshop, Lila pried open the device with a screwdriver. Wires sparked, and a small screen glowed to life. The message looped louder now, and suddenly, a pulse shot out, a wave of energy that rattled the walls. Outside, the ground trembled. Milo peeked through the window. Lila? You might want to see this. She joined him, and her jaw dropped. Across Haven 3, sand shifted as old machines rose, rusted drones, skeletal ships, things no one had seen work in generations. Lights blinked on, engines hummed. The outpost was waking up. Miles away, the Unity Pack's scouting fleet approached. 10 sleek ships, their hulls gleaming silver, cut through the void. Captain Vren, a towering rock-skinned warrior, commanded them. He sneered at the scans of Haven 3. A speck of dirt with a few primitives, he rumbled. This'll be quick. His crew nodded, readying weapons. The Pact had crushed bigger threats than this. What could a handful of humans do? On Haven 3, Lila and Milo watched the sky darken with ships. They're not friendly, Milo said, gripping his pilot's controls. Lila clutched the device, its screen now flashing with maps and codes she didn't understand. This thing started it, she said. Maybe it can help us. She tapped the screen, and a new voice boomed from it, not the calm loop, but a deep, defiant tone, defensive systems online. Welcome back, humanity. The ground shook again as turrets popped up from the sand, their barrels glowing with energy. Drones buzzed into the air, forming a shield around the outpost. The packed fleet slowed, sensors blaring. Vren growled. What is this? They're arming. His second-in-command, a feathered officer, stared at the readings. Sir, those are ancient designs. Human designs. They shouldn't work. But they did. The drones fired warning shots, streaks of light cutting through the dark. Vren slammed a fist on his console. Attack. Wipe them out. His ships opened fire, beams raining down. On Haven 3, Lila and Milo ducked as explosions rocked the outpost. We've got to fight back. Milo shouted. Lila nodded, her mind racing. She didn't know what the device was fully, but it had woken something big. And now, the galaxy was about to find out what humans could do when pushed. The fleet closed in, confident in their victory. But Haven 3's defenses held, old tech meeting new threats with surprising strength. Far beyond, in distant corners of space, other human colonies stirred. The signal had reached them too. Lights flickered on in places the Pact had forgotten, and voices whispered, "We're awake." The stars trembled with the promise of what was to come. The sky above Haven 3 blazed with fire and light. The Unity Pact's scouting fleet, led by Captain Vren, rained destruction down on the dusty outpost. Their silver ships darted like predators, beams slicing through the air. But Haven 3 wasn't defenseless. Ancient turrets spat energy back, and drones, old relics from a forgotten time, swarmed the attackers. Inside her workshop, Lila gripped the strange device, its screen glowing with maps and commands she barely understood. Beside her, Milo crouched, eyes wide as explosions shook the walls. We're holding them off, he said, but not for long. Lila's fingers flew across the device's controls. The voice from it boomed again, defensive grid at 60% capacity. Additional systems available. She squinted at the screen. Blueprints flashed, designs for shields, weapons, things she'd never seen. This isn't just a transmitter, she realized. It's a library. Old human tech. Milo grinned despite the chaos. Then let's use it. Build something. Outside, Captain Vren roared orders from his command ship. Focus fire on those turrets. They're primitives, break them. His crew obeyed, but the human defenses were stubborn. Drones zipped unpredictably, dodging blasts, and turrets adjusted aim with eerie precision. Vren's rocky fists clenched. How are they doing this? He growled. His feathered officer, scanning the readings, stammered, Sir, it's ancient tech, but it's adapting. They're rewiring it on the fly. Back on Haven 3, Lila worked fast. She grabbed tools and scrap from her workshop, following the blueprint for a shield generator. Milo hauled metal and cables, sweat streaking his face. "What's the plan?" he asked. "This," Lila said, pointing to the design, "can block their weapons. Buy us time." The outpost's people rallied too, miners, farmers, kids, dragging supplies and shouting encouragement. They didn't know much about fighting, but they knew how to survive. The shield came together in a tangle of wires and hope. Lila slammed the final piece in place and hit a switch. A shimmering dome flared up, encasing Haven 3 just as a barrage struck. The beams fizzled against it, harmless. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Milo whooped, slapping Lila's shoulder. "You're a genius." She smiled, but her eyes stayed on the device. "This is just the start. Look." The screen showed signals lighting up across the galaxy, other human colonies responding to the broadcast. Far beyond Haven 3, the Unity Pact's Grand Hall on Vora buzzed with panic. Torva stood at its center, feathers drooping as reports flooded in. Liar, the glowing orb technician, floated beside him, voice trembling. "Sir, it's not just Sector 17B, human activities spiking everywhere, dead zones, asteroid fields, even the void near the cracked nebula." Torva's claws tapped nervously. "How many?" Liar pulsed dimmer. "Dozens of signals. Maybe more. They're waking up." Delegates shouted over each other. A shimmering light beam flashed angrily. "We thought they were extinct." A rock-skinned giant rumbled, "They're a pestilence. Crush them now." Torva silenced them with a sharp cry. "Enough. We underestimated them once. Not again. Captain Vren will handle Haven 3, then we'll deal with the rest." But doubt gnawed at him. The humans weren't supposed to be this strong. On Haven 3, the packed fleet pounded the shield. Cracks spiderwebbed across it, and Lila frowned. "It won't hold forever." Milo glanced at Stinger, his ship parked nearby. "Then we hit back. Take the fight to them." Lila nodded, scanning the device for more blueprints. She found one, a weapon mod for small ships. "Get Stinger ready," she said. "I'll rig something up." Milo raced to his ship while Lila worked, bolting a clunky cannon onto its hull. It looked ridiculous, pieced from scrap, but the blueprint promised power. The shield flickered as Milo climbed aboard. "Ready," he called. Lila hit a button, dropping the shield just long enough for Stinger to launch. The little ship streaked upward, dodging beams, and fired. A pulse of blue energy slammed into a packed ship, cracking its hull. Vren's voice thundered over the comms. "What was that?" The fleet faltered, stunned by the hit. Milo looped back, grinning. "It works." Below, Lila watched the device. New data streamed in, reports from other colonies. One message read, "Haven 9 online. Defenses active." Another, "Haven 12 here. Ships launching." The signal was uniting them, waking a network hidden for centuries. Lila whispered, "We're not alone." Vren's patience snapped. "Full assault," he barked. His ships regrouped, hammering Haven 3 with everything they had. The shield shattered, and debris rained down. Lila dove for cover as turrets exploded. Milo swooped in, firing again, but he couldn't stop them all. The outpost trembled, on the brink. Then the device beeped, displaying a map, a nearby asteroid field tagged Legacy Site. Lila's eyes widened. "Milo, we've got to go there. Now." Milo landed Stinger amid the chaos, grabbing Lila. "What's there?" She held up the device. "Answers. Maybe a way to win." They lifted off as Haven 3's people fought on, holding the line with grit and scavenged gear. The packed fleet pressed harder, but Vren's confidence wavered. His officer muttered, "Sir, more human signals. They're spreading." Vren snarled, "Let them try. They're no match for us." In the asteroid field, Stinger weaved through floating rocks. Lila scanned the map, guiding Milo to a massive shadow, a derelict structure buried in stone. They landed, and she stepped out, device in hand. It pulsed, syncing with the ruin. Lights flared, revealing a cavernous shipyard, long abandoned. At its heart sat a colossal vessel, its hull scarred but intact. Words etched on it read, "Dawnbreaker." Milo whistled. "That's no junk heap." Lila touched the ship, and the device spoke, "Command ship online. Welcome, heirs of Earth." Across the galaxy, human colonies lit up like stars. Ships launched, patched together but fierce. On Vora, Torva watched the holomap in silence as red dots multiplied. "What have we done?" he murmured. Lyre flickered beside him. "Sir, Vren's retreating from Haven 3. He says they're too stubborn." Torva's feathers flattened. The humans weren't just surviving, they were fighting back, and they weren't alone anymore. On Dawnbreaker, Lila and Milo climbed aboard. Consoles hummed to life, screens showing allied colonies linking up. A new signal crackled through, not from the device but from another human voice, "This is Haven 5. We're with you. What's the plan?" Lila looked at Milo, then at the galaxy map glowing before them. "We show them who we are," she said. Milo smirked. "Time to wake the rest up." The packed fleet pulled back from Haven 3, battered and confused. Vren glared at the retreating view, his pride stung. But as they withdrew, a deeper rumble echoed through space. Dawnbreaker rose from the asteroids, its engines roaring, a giant woken from sleep. The signal pulsed louder now, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "Now you've woken all of us up." And with it came the promise of a fight the Unity Pact could never have imagined. Torva stared at Lyre, waiting. The little orb pulsed nervously before speaking. "Sir, the humans aren't just fighting back. They're organizing. Signals show their colonies linking up, sharing tech, plans, even ships. It's like they've been waiting for this." Torva's feathers twitched. "Waiting? For centuries." Lyre dimmed further. "Maybe. Our records missed it. We thought they were gone, but they've been hiding, building." The hull erupted again. A feathered delegate squawked, "We should strike now, wipe them out." But a shimmering light beam flashed out. "What if that makes it worse? They've already beaten Vren's fleet. Maybe we talk instead." Torva's 3 eyes narrowed. Peace talks with humans. The pact had never negotiated with a lesser species. But the growing red dots on the map gnawed at him. "Hold an emergency vote," he ordered. "War or words, we decide tonight." Far away, in the asteroid field near Haven 3, the massive Dawnbreaker hummed with life. Lila stood on its bridge, hands tracing the glowing consoles. The ship was a relic of Earth's past, a warship built for a fight no one remembered. Milo paced beside her, grinning at the screens. "Look at this thing. It's huge, way better than Stinger." Lila nodded, eyes on the device from her workshop. It sat plugged into the ship's systems, feeding it data. "It's more than a ship," she said. "It's a key. It's waking everything we've got." A voice crackled through the comms, rough but friendly. "Haven 5 to Dawnbreaker. You the ones who sent the signal?" Lila grabbed the mic. "Yeah, this is Haven 3. I'm Lila." "Who's this?" "Name's Cade," the voice replied. "We've got ships here, old ones, patched up. Ready to help." Another voice cut in, this one sharp. "Haven 12 here. Terra speaking. We're armed too. What's the play? Milo leaned in. I'm Milo. We're fighting the Pact. They hit us first, but we've got Dawnbreaker now. Join us? The comms buzzed with more voices. Haven, 9, Haven, 15, colonies no one on Haven, 3 knew existed. They'd been silent for generations, tucked away in dead zones, surviving on scraps and secrets. Now, the signal had lit a spark. Lila felt her chest swell. We're not alone, she whispered. Milo clapped her shoulder. Time to show the galaxy what humans can do. But the Pact wasn't sitting still. On Vora, the vote swung to war. Torva reluctantly agreed, appointing KLYSS, a cunning strategist with a sleek, eel-like body, to lead the next attack. KLYSS slithered into his command ship, eyes glinting. Humans are chaotic, he hissed to his crew. We'll outsmart them. Predict their moves, trap them. His fleet, 50 ships strong, fast and deadly, set course for the asteroid field. He'd heard about Dawnbreaker from Vren's retreat and planned to crush it. Lila and Milo didn't wait for trouble. With Dawnbreaker's engines roaring, they flew to meet the other colonies. The ship's scanners pinged, a hidden human base in the asteroids, cloaked by dust and radiation. They docked, finding a skeleton crew of engineers who'd tended it for decades. An old woman, Hannah, greeted them. Her hands were calloused, her grin wide. Took you long enough, she said. This place builds ships. Been quiet since Earth fell. Ready to wake it up. The shipyard roared to life under Lila's touch. The device synced with its systems, spitting out designs, fighters, shields, tricks Earth's engineers had dreamed up long ago. Milo rallied pilots from Haven, 3 and beyond, training them on patched-up ships. Fly fast, think faster, he told them. The Pact won't know what hit M. Lila worked with Hannah, rigging Dawnbreaker with new weapons, cannons that fired energy nets, drones that confused enemy sensors. Human tech wasn't sleek like the Pact's, but it was tough, clever, unpredictable. KLYSS's fleet arrived days later, cutting through space like a blade. His ship spread out, scanning the asteroids. They'll hide, he muttered. Cowards always do. But Dawnbreaker didn't hide. It burst from the rocks, flanked by a ragtag swarm of human fighters. KLYSS laughed, a cold, slithering sound. A junk pile with wings. Fire. His fleet unleashed a barrage, beams slicing the dark. Milo piloted Dawnbreaker, weaving through the onslaught. Hold tight, he yelled. Lila triggered the energy nets, snaring packed ships and dragging them into collisions. The human fighters darted in, striking weak spots. KLYSS's neat formation crumbled as his crews panicked. They're too random, an officer hissed. KLYSS glared. Adjust. Trap them. His ships regrouped, laying a web of fire to corner Dawnbreaker. But humans didn't play by rules. Lila hacked the shipyard's old drones, sending them crashing into packed engines. Milo flew reckless loops, drawing fire while fighters picked off stragglers. Haven 5's Cade rammed a packed cruiser, laughing over the comms. That's for waking us up. Terra from Haven 12 led a squad that turned asteroids into weapons, slingshotting them into enemy hulls. The Pact's precision met human chaos, and chaos was winning. On Vora, Torva watched the battle feed, feathers drooping. Lyre floated beside him. Sir, KLYSS is losing ground. The humans, they're not just fighting. They're adapting faster than we can. A delegate muttered, maybe peace was the better vote. Torva didn't reply, eyes fixed on the map. The red dots weren't shrinking, they were growing. KLYSS's fleet faltered, half his ships crippled or drifting. He hissed orders, refusing to retreat. Focus on that big one. Break it. His remaining ships targeted Dawnbreaker, hammering its hull. Sparks flew on the bridge as Lila and Milo braced themselves. "Shields are down," she shouted. Milo grinned through gritted teeth. "Then we ram him." But before he could, a wave of human ships surged in, Haven 9, Haven 15, more joining the fray. They'd heard the call and come running. The tide turned. KLYSS's fleet buckled under the onslaught, his traps useless against human stubbornness. Dawnbreaker fired a final net, snagging KLYSS's command ship. His voice crackled over the comms, furious but trapped. "This isn't over." Milo smirked. "Sure feels like it." Lila grabbed the mic, broadcasting to the galaxy. "This is Dawnbreaker. We're humans. We're awake. And we're just getting started." The packed fleet retreated, limping back to Vora. KLYSS seated in his snared ship, vowing revenge. On Dawnbreaker, cheers echoed as the human alliance celebrated. Lila looked at the device, its screen showing more colonies linking up. "They're still out there," she said. Milo nodded. "And we've got a galaxy to take back." On Vora, Torva shut off the battle feed, silence settling over the hull. "They're not extinct," he murmured. "They're a force." Liar pulsed faintly. "What now, sir?" Torva didn't answer. The humans had turned the tide, and the pack's neat order was unraveling. Across the stars, human voices rose, united by a signal that wouldn't fade. The fight was far from over, but for the first time, the galaxy felt humanity's pulse, and it was strong. The stars burned brighter now, alive with the hum of human defiance. Dawnbreaker hung in space, its scarred hull a testament to the battles fought and won. Lila stood on the bridge, staring at the galaxy map as red dots, human colonies, blinked in harmony. Milo leaned against a console, wiping sweat from his brow. "We've got a real fight now," he said, voice steady but tired. The comms crackled with voices, Cade from Haven 5, Terra from Haven 12, dozens more, ready to follow Dawnbreaker into whatever came next. On Vora, the Unity Pack's hull was a storm of fear and fury. Torva faced the delegates, his feathers flat with exhaustion. The holomap showed human forces spreading, a web of light cutting through packed territory. "They've beaten KLYSS," he said. "They'll come for us next." A rock-skinned delegate growled, "Then we hit them harder." But a light being pulsed softly. "Or we talk. They're not mindless. They've shown that." Torva hesitated. Peace or war, the choice loomed heavy. KLYSS, meanwhile, had no patience for talk. His command ship, freed from Dawnbreaker's net, limped back to a packed stronghold. His eel-like body coiled with rage as he rallied every ship he could, 100 strong, a fleet to drown the humans in fire. "Torva's weak," he hissed to his officers. "I'll end this myself." He betrayed the council's vote, launching his armada toward the asteroid field. The humans wouldn't see it coming. Lila felt it first, a tremor in Dawnbreaker's sensors. "Something's wrong," she said, pulling up scans. Milo joined her, frowning. "Big signatures. Lots of them." The screen flared with warnings, KLYSS's fleet, closing fast. Comms buzzed with panic from other colonies. "They're hitting Haven 9. Cade shouted. "We need help." Lila's mind raced. "They're trying to break us apart," she said. Milo nodded. "Then we hit back together." The human alliance rallied. Dawnbreaker led the charge, flanked by a wild mix of ships, fighters from Haven 5, freighters from Haven 12, even mining rigs armed with drills. They met KLYSS's fleet in open space, a clash of order and chaos. Packed ships fired in tight lines, beams cutting the dark. Humans answered with tricks, drones scattering fake signals, nets snaring engines, ships ramming weak spots. Milo piloted Dawnbreaker through the storm, grinning. They hate this. Lila worked the consoles, tweaking weapons on the fly. She rigged a cannon to fire scrap metal, turning debris into a deadly cloud. It shredded packed hulls, sowing confusion. Cade's voice crackled through. Nice one. We're pushing them back. Terra added, Haven 12's got their flank. Keep it up. The humans fought like they lived, messy, fierce, unbreakable. On Vora, Torva watched the battle unfold, his claws clenched. Lyre floated beside him, dim with dread. Sir, KLVSS disobeyed you. He's losing, but he's dragging us down too. Torva's eyes hardened. Enough. Contact the humans. Offer a truce. Lyre hesitated. Will they listen? Torva didn't answer, but he had to try. KLYSS's fleet pressed harder, targeting Dawnbreaker. Beams slammed its hull, rocking the bridge. Lila stumbled, grabbing the device from Haven 3. Its screen glowed with a new option, network override. She grinned. Milo, cover me. He nodded, dodging blasts as she plugged the device into the ship's core. Her fingers flew, hacking the pack's comms. Static hissed, then her voice boomed across every frequency, this is Earth's last message. We're here. We're strong. Stand with us or step aside. The galaxy heard it, packed ships, colonies, even distant worlds. KLYSS snarled over his comms. Ignore them. Fight. But doubt crept into his crews. Human ships kept coming, relentless. Lila's hack spread, showing live feeds of their victories, Haven 9 holding, Haven 12 advancing. KLYSS's officers wavered. They're everywhere, one muttered. KLYSS lunged, furious. Cowards. I'll. He never finished. Dawnbreaker fired a final net, snaring his ship mid-rant. Human fighters swarmed, disabling his fleet piece by piece. KLYSS's armada crumbled, ships drifting or fleeing. Milo whooped. We've got M. Lila slumped, breathless but smiling. The comms lit up with Torva's voice, calm and clear. This is the Unity Pact. We seek peace. Stand down, and we'll talk. Lila and Milo exchanged looks. Could be a trick, Milo said. Lila nodded. Maybe. But we've shown them we're not pushovers. She hit the mic, this is Dawnbreaker. We'll talk, but you come to us. Torva agreed, his fleet pulling back. KLYSS, trapped and ranting, was left behind, a relic of a failed war. Days later, Torva arrived at the asteroid field in a lone ship. He stepped onto Dawnbreaker, towering over Lila and Milo but unguarded. His feathers ruffled as he spoke. You're not what we expected. Your strength, it's strange. Chaotic. Lila crossed her arms. It's human. We don't give up. Torva tilted his head. I see that. The pact offers truce, no more attacks. We'll share space, trade, learn. If you'll have it. Milo smirked. Better than fighting forever. Lila nodded. We'll take it, for now. But we're keeping our eyes open. Torva bowed slightly, a rare gesture. Fair. You've earned that. He left, and the galaxy exhaled. The pact reeled, its order shaken, but humans had carved their place among the stars. On Dawnbreaker, the Alliance celebrated, laughter, music, voices blending across comms. Lila stood by a window, the device in her hands. Its screen was dark now, its job done. Milo joined her, quiet. What's next? He asked. She looked out at the stars, endless and bright. We rebuild. Explore. Find Earth, maybe. We've got a lot to do. The signal faded into legend, whispered across worlds. Now you've woken all of us up became a promise, a challenge, a spark. Humans weren't just survivors, they were dreamers, fighters, builders. The galaxy watched, curious and wary, as their light grew. On Dawnbreaker, Lila and Milo turned to the horizon, ready for whatever came. The story wasn't over, it was just beginning.